Here at the Nevada Home Show, we're privileged to have real estate professionals join us to go over with what's happening in the Las Vegas real estate market. Today, we have Sam Schwartz with Schwartz Flansburg. Thanks for joining us, Sam.
Paul, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, I understand, Sam, that you focus on short sales throughout the Las Vegas area. Can you explain to the homeowner and to the people at home what a short sale is?
Sure. We do focus on what I would identify as distressed sales throughout town, whether that's in connection with a bankruptcy or some other financial distress from homeowners. But a short sale is when a homeowner sells a property for less than the related debt. Typically, those sales are negotiated with the lender, where the lender agrees to allow the house to be sold for less than what they're owed, and usually they waive the balance in connection with that sale.
Now, how many homeowners in Las Vegas and Henderson do you think are upside down at this time?
Latest numbers say we're coming just under 20%. So right around still 1 out of 5 houses in the Las Vegas, Southern Nevada region are underwater.
So 1 out of 5 homeowners might need your assistance in helping them out of their underwater home.
It's still a significant number, yes. Although by percentage of overall sales in Nevada, we're coming down to about 10-12% this year. It looks like will be distressed sales, if you will, foreclosures and short sales combined.
Can you explain to the people at home what constitutes a homeowner being able to conduct a short sale if they're ultimately upside down in their home?
Sure. A short sale is a negotiated agreement done with a lender. Homeowners qualify for short sales in many ways very much like they would qualify for a mortgage by showing a lender what they can afford or cannot afford, better yet, between their tax returns, bank statements, pay stubs. In addition, then, there are certain things that the federal government say qualify you for a short sale that are hardships, if you will. One of which, for example, is simply moving more than 50 miles. The Fannie Mae guidelines say that if you're moving more than 50 miles, that is a hardship, and your lender is to consider you for a short sale.
And so ultimately needing to do a job relocation or potentially losing your job, those are all factors that involve in them being able to qualify.
Absolutely. A hardship isn't necessarily just financial. So although the majority of the types of hardships that we deal with happen to do with people who can no longer afford their property, many times they have to do with people who are relocating for any reason. And it may be in today's day and age the traditional reason to relocate. You have a growing family or a shrinking family, and the house you have no longer makes sense for your household size, whether it's growing or shrinking, and that maybe the school districts you're in no longer make sense. Those are also bases to move. And in the old days before we had the recession, it was often normal to be selling one house while you're buying another. So we help people with that process, growing, shrinking, financial hardship, job relocation hardship. We help people all up and down the line with those issues.
Now, you mentioned buying maybe one or more houses. Do you also help investors when it comes to conducting a short sale?
We do. We've helped investors with anything from 2 or 3 houses all the way up to 50 houses in house size, well, I should say investment sizes, if you will.
Right.
And for the investors, it's a different world a little bit. Lenders are often willing to negotiate short sales, if you will, with investors. Some investors, it makes sense for them to consider a more structured approach to things. Chapter 11 bankruptcies, for example, allow investors to take many homes in one place through one court-supervised process and reduce those home mortgages down to the actual values of the houses themselves. Cram down, we call it.
Got it.
So, $10 million of debt could be reduced down to $5 million that reflects the actual value of the houses, and we can restructure around that $5 million and make those houses profitable again.
So you mentioned bankruptcy for investors. I assume that when a homeowner also conducts a bankruptcy, can they also conduct a short sale when it comes to selling their home?
You bet. And we've been through many of those where homeowners file bankruptcy and then sell their home through either what's called a Chapter 7 liquidation or a Chapter 13 payment plan kind of case. Regardless, our view is always that if homeowners know they want to sell a home and they know they need a bankruptcy for whatever reason, medical debt, credit card debt, again, they've lost their job, for example, our view is that you always should file bankruptcy before you sell your home. The reason for that is that through the bankruptcy process, debt that's discharged in a bankruptcy under Section 108 of the Internal Revenue Code, no taxes are paid for that.
Oh.
Separately, for example, if you loan me $5,000. And then you won the lottery and said, hey, Sam, I don't need the money anymore. Keep it. It's a gift. You can have it. Well, the IRS says you're supposed to send me a 1099 for that, and I'm supposed to pay taxes on those $5,000 because I don't have to pay it back anymore.
Oh.
However, if I owe you $5,000 and then I file bankruptcy and discharge your debt, the IRS says, well, under the Internal Revenue Code, I don't have to pay taxes on that money anymore. The same applies for debt that would be forgiven in connection with the short sale of your home. So it's always our view that you file your bankruptcy first, discharge the debt you owe on the mortgage. Then, unfortunately, although you've discharged your debt, your note, your promise to pay the bank, they still have their lien, their deed of trust on your house.
They're still waiting for a potential foreclosure to happen after the bankruptcy.
Exactly. They don't lose their collateral, if you will, through the bankruptcy. So the short sale then makes sense to get the house out of your name. You don't necessarily want the liability, for example. Some people have moved out. So rather than have your house sit and bad things happen to empty houses. Better to go through the process of selling it. So once you've discharged your debt and then sell the house, you won't have a tax problem if you go bankruptcy first.
And I would assume ultimately if they go down that road, they're more in control of their life and their transition from one house to another.
100%. And it's also our view, you always want to control the sale of your home if you can. There's nothing wrong, if you will, with waiting for a bank to foreclose if that's your business decision to do that. But that's the worst thing for your credit, for example. Foreclosures sit on your credit for 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10.
7 to 10. So lenders then know also you'll walk away from a property or a deal. You've done it before. Where a short sale shows your willingness to work with your lender, to go through a process to limit their losses. Also, short sales stay on your credit for 3 to 5 years.
So a lot shorter time frame in order for them to get back in the game.
Correct, much less. And actually, we see most of our clients who are thoughtful and efficient in the short sale process, their credit scores are back to about their peak score within about a year of the closing of their sale. Where bankruptcy-related people who go through a bankruptcy in Chapter 7, for example, are about 2 years from your discharge in bankruptcy of your debt, you're back to your peak credit score, where foreclosures can go on for quite some time after that, many years after a foreclosure before you're back to your peak credit score,
Got it. Well, how do you see the Las Vegas market right now when it comes to real estate?
Well, I think, traditional real estate before the recession, for the 50 years before the recession, and then we saw some jumps in values. Traditional real estate values go up 3 to 5% a year. So I think if you look around the valley, you see unemployment going down, jobs going up. You see the Tesla factory up in Reno, the Faraday project coming online here, the Red Dragon Casino just opening at Sahara on Las Vegas Boulevard, the Genting project there across from Wynn that's going to come out of the ground at some point, the Elan project coming. So you see lots of things in the future that I think I see job growth, job inflation, lower unemployment, which to me means we're going to see continued steady growth with homes. I don't think we'll see the 25% in home appreciation we saw in 2011, 2012, 2013, but I think we'll see steady growth going forward, more new homes, and we'll see prices go up in the 5% range.
Fantastic. Well, that's good news on the horizon, but ultimately at the end of the day, there are still homeowners that need your assistance.
I think right now, yes. I think 2017 will still be a relatively strong year for distressed sales. And then I think by the time we get to 2018, 2019, we'll be coming back more to the market we saw before the recession, which is primarily efficient traditional sales. We'll always have some foreclosures. You'll always have some sort of short sale with houses that have problems and people that run into difficulties. But that'll be a small percentage of the market, I think, in the next few years.
And one of the things I wanted to touch upon towards the end here is when it comes to conducting the short sale, the debt forgiveness, is that still in effect, the Mortgage Act for debt forgiveness?
Yes, the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Relief Act, which is a Bush-era bill, by the way, currently ends at the end of this year. However, it applies to anyone who has a sale that's under contract in 2016. And as long as that sale closes in 2017, the debt forgiveness will apply. There also are 2 bills in Congress to extend the Debt Forgiveness Act. One is a Dean Heller bill, one is a Joe Heck bill. One is for 3 years for an extension, one is for 1 year. The 1-year bill, it's hard to know how that's going to go forward. Joe Heck obviously lost his bid for Harry Reid's Senate seat.
Right.
So we're not sure what's going to happen. We now have a Republican Congress and a Republican president. So there's an expectation that the lower tax-related items will go forward. Debt forgiveness, the Tax Relief Act, if you will, would be a Republican agenda item. So I think it will be extended again in 2017. So homeowners, I don't think, should be fearful of the tax implications going forward if they were betting at this point in the process.
But ultimately, if they're on that verge of foreclosure and the bank knocking at their door, they shouldn't wait, and they should contact you to ultimately conduct a short sale to help them out of their situation, right?
Well, yes, of course. I would agree with that. And
Absolutely.
I think one of the smart things for any homeowner is know your options.
Sure.
Have sort of a list of things you would do. You might pursue a loan modification. If that doesn't work, then a short sale. And if that doesn't work, then consider a deed in lieu of foreclosure, perhaps. And if that didn't work, then consider your bankruptcy options. So here, at least at Schwartz Flansburg, we try to be very thoughtful to make sure we keep homeowners' options in front of them as long as possible. And so along that they don't lose choices and have as many things to help keep their houses available before they run out of options. And one thing people should know, for example, in Nevada's foreclosure mediation program is being wound down this year. It's going to be put to an end. However, Chapter 13 bankruptcy has a mortgage modification mediation program now. So homeowners who lost the opportunity to go through Nevada's foreclosure mediation program now can elect Chapter 13 bankruptcy and get another bite at that apple. So here we try to keep all those options in front of people to make sure they know their choices.
One of the great things I just want to share with the homeowners at home is that, as a real estate broker, I ultimately rely on an attorney to help me guide the homeowner through a real estate short sale. And folks at home, ultimately, if you're going to utilize the options that Sam has ultimately told you about, you potentially want a professional to help you through the process to have that ultimate opportunity to get out of that short sale on your own terms. When it comes to selling a home and you're upside down in your mortgage, you don't want the bank to knock on your door. You want to ultimately have a professional help you with your situation. Sam, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Paul, thank you. It's my pleasure.
And ultimately, the motto is, you don't just want a short sale, you want a short sale.
Correct. That is correct.
Thanks a lot.
You too, Paul. Thank you.